Welcome back to ZE Coins. If you love coin collecting, rare finds, and learning about the fascinating history behind your change, you're in the right place. Today, we've got an exciting topic that's sure to get you digging through your coin jars: the 1977 Lincoln penny. You might think, a 1977 penny? Isn't that just a common coin? Well, hold on to your seats, because some 1977 pennies are worth way more than their face value. We'll be diving deep into the history of this coin, how much it's worth today, and why some rare 1977 pennies have been known to fetch staggering amounts, even as much as $9 million. From its humble beginnings to its massive auction records, there's a lot more to the 1977 penny than meets the eye. So, make sure you stick around for the full video because I've got a lot of valuable information for you today. Let's get started. Let's take a step back and look at the history of the 1977 Lincoln penny. Now, if you're a fan of the US Mint, you probably already know that the Lincoln penny has been around for over a century. But in 1977, the penny went through an interesting time in its life. So, what was going on in 1977? The United States was in the middle of a post-Vietnam War economic recovery. The country was adjusting to inflation, and the government was making efforts to stabilize the economy. The 1977 Lincoln penny itself was a part of the ongoing series that began back in 1909. But despite being widely circulated, the 1977 penny was still fairly typical, struck in copper-plated zinc, nothing unusual, or so it seemed. But while most 1977 pennies didn't stand out back in the day, some of them may have been overlooked, and those overlooked pennies could now be worth big money. Let's talk about value. Normally, you can find a 1977 penny in your change for, well, 1 cent. But that's just the regular ones, the ones most people get when they hit the gas station or buy their morning coffee. The vast majority of these coins are only worth their face value, a single cent. However, there's something special about a small number of 1977 pennies that can make them incredibly valuable. You might have heard that some rare coins can skyrocket in value over time. Well, the 1977 penny is no exception. There are a few different factors that can drive up its price. These factors include rarity, minting errors, and the overall condition of the coin. Let's break that down. First up, minting errors. Every now and then, the US Mint makes mistakes, and those mistakes can actually lead to some very valuable coins. For example, if a 1977 penny was struck with a misalignment, double die, or a planchet flaw, it could be worth a lot more than just a penny. Some rare minting errors make a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on how severe the error is. In fact, certain 1977 Lincoln pennies with double die obverse, the front of the coin, have sold for upwards of $500 or more. But that's not the only thing to consider. The condition of a coin also plays a huge role in its value. Coins that are in excellent condition, known as uncirculated coins, can fetch a much higher price than those that have been worn down by years of circulation. Now, here's the crazy part. You might be thinking, how could a 1977 penny ever be worth $9 million? Well, let's dive into that mind-blowing example. While there's no official report of a 1977 Lincoln penny selling for $9 million just yet, there have been coins from the 1970s that have set auction records and come very close. In some cases, especially with coins that have incredibly rare features, the value can soar into the millions. For example, one of the most famous coins in American numismatics history, the 1943 copper penny, fetched $1.7 million in 2010, and that's just one of many rare pennies. So, while a 1977 penny might not have reached $9 million, yet we can't rule it out. A mistake coin or a near-perfect 1977 penny could easily command a large amount if it hits the right market. So, what are the chances of finding one of these valuable 1977 pennies in your pocket change? Well, it's not all that likely, but it's certainly possible if you know what to look for. Start by checking for obvious minting errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, and noticeable imperfections on the coin. If the penny looks especially shiny, clean, or uncirculated, that's a good sign that it could be worth more than just 1 cent. Also, it's important to always use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe when examining your pennies. Some minting errors are so subtle that they can be easily missed by the naked eye. If you happen to find a rare 1977 penny, you might be wondering, where do I sell it? There are a few places you can check out. Online auction sites like eBay, trusted coin dealers, and reputable numismatic auctions are your best bet for selling your coins. Make sure you get your coin professionally appraised before selling, as some coins may have a significantly higher value than you initially think. To wrap things up, the 1977 Lincoln penny may seem like a small, unimportant coin, but there's a real possibility that you could have one in your collection that's worth a whole lot more than a single cent. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a beginner, it's always worth keeping an eye out for those rare finds that could make your coin collection worth a fortune. If you're a fan of coin collecting, rare finds, and discovering valuable items hiding in your pocket change, you've come to the right place. In today's video, we're going to be diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, the 1980 Lincoln penny. Now, most of us are familiar with pennies, and you've probably held a few 1980 pennies in your hand. But did you know that some of these pennies could be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent? That's right, in this video, we'll explore the history of the 1980 Lincoln penny, its current market value, some valuable rare finds, and how one of these pennies might even be worth millions of dollars. Stick around, because you won't want to miss this exciting journey into the world of coin collecting. Let's get started. Alright, first things first. Let's take a quick look at the history behind the 1980 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent, often just called the penny, has been a staple of American currency since 1909. The coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, on the obverse, or front side. The reverse side has gone through various changes over the years, but in 1980, it still had the familiar wheat stalks design, which was eventually replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. Now, the 1980 D penny was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark. In 1980, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies to keep up with the high demand for currency. But despite how common most 1980 pennies are, this is where things start to get interesting. So what about the value? Well, let's get one thing straight. Most 1980 D pennies that you come across are worth exactly 1 cent. If it's been circulated, it'll likely be found in common condition, which doesn't increase its value much. In general, the 1980 D Lincoln penny in its circulated form is not particularly rare. You might find it in your change, and it's worth just its face value, 1 cent. However, the story changes when we start talking about uncirculated or graded versions of this coin. Coins that are well preserved and have high-quality details, especially if they've never been in circulation, can be much more valuable. A 1980 D penny in MS65, mint state 65, condition could fetch anywhere from 30 cents to $1, depending on the market. But here's where it gets really exciting. There are rarities out there. Pennies that have been struck with error or have certain characteristics that make them incredibly valuable. Now you're probably thinking, hold on, I've heard about some coins being worth crazy amounts, but a 1980 D penny worth $8 million? That sounds unbelievable. But guess what? It's true. In 1980, something went very wrong at the U.S. Mint, and a small number of 1980 D pennies were struck with a very rare error. These coins, which are incredibly hard to find, have a unique feature that makes them stand out from the rest. We're talking about double die errors and off-center strikes that make the coin look completely different from regular 1980 pennies. Coins like these could be worth anywhere from $500 to $8 million depending on their rarity, condition, and error type. The $8 million penny? That particular coin was struck with an error that made it appear as if it had two distinct impressions of Lincoln's face. This is something that collectors dream about, an extremely rare find that no one expected. But how does a coin like this get its value? It all comes down to the quality and rarity of the coin. Coins like the 1980 D double die penny are valued by experts based on a few factors. Condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect. The better the condition, the higher the value. Rarity. The less of a certain coin exists, the more valuable it is. A double die or off-center 1980 D penny is rare, and that boosts its worth. Demand. If collectors are actively seeking a certain coin, its price can skyrocket. And in the case of a rare 1980 D penny, there's a lot of demand among enthusiasts. If you think you might have a rare 1980 D penny or any other rare coin, don't just throw it in a jar. The best way to determine if you have a valuable penny is to have it professionally graded. You can send your coins to a service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, for an expert evaluation. Once your coin is graded, you can list it for sale at online auction houses like eBay, or sell it through specialized coin dealers who deal with rare and collectible coins. Just be careful. There are a lot of counterfeit coins out there, so make sure you're working with reputable sources. So, what's the future for coin collectors and 1980D pennies? Well, as time goes on, some of these coins, especially the rare error ones, are only going to become more valuable. As fewer of these coins are found, their demand will only increase. The world of coin collecting is always evolving. As more people take an interest in history and rare finds, coins like the 1980D penny might become even more sought after. It's the thrill of the hunt, the fascination with history, and the possibility of finding something truly valuable that keeps collectors coming back for more. There you have it, folks, a deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1980D Lincoln penny. From its historical roots to its current market value, and even the possibility of finding an $8 million coin in your change. It's a coin collector's dream. We're diving deep into the 1982D Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that's gained quite a bit of attention, and for some very good reasons. Let's start with the basics. The 1982D Lincoln penny is one of the most widely circulated coins in the United States. It features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, and is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins minted by the U.S. Mint. But what makes the 1982D penny so special? And why has it captured the attention of collectors and coin enthusiasts? Well, the key to the 1982D penny's intrigue lies in a unique shift in the minting process that year, the materials used in production, and a little-known error that has transformed it from a simple copper-plated coin into something much more valuable. So, let's take a closer look at the history, the market value, and why some of these pennies are worth a lot more than you'd think. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the years, the design has undergone subtle changes, but the general layout has remained consistent. However, the 1982 penny is where things get really interesting. In 1982, a monumental change took place in the penny's composition. Up until that point, pennies were primarily made from 95% copper. But with rising copper prices and increasing production costs, the U.S. Mint decided to reduce the amount of copper used in each penny. In 1982, two types of pennies were minted: the copper-based ones, which were produced early in the year, and the new, zinc-based pennies that replaced the copper ones. The zinc pennies had only 2.5% copper content, with the rest being mostly zinc, and these pennies were lighter and cheaper to produce. So what does this mean for the 1982D penny? Well, if you've ever looked closely, you might notice that not all 1982 pennies are created equal. There are actually two versions of the penny minted that year: a copper version and a zinc version, each with slightly different characteristics. Here's where things get tricky. The value of the 1982D penny can vary significantly depending on whether it's the copper version or the zinc version. The copper pennies are heavier, with a distinct reddish-brown appearance, while the zinc pennies are lighter, have a slightly duller color, and can corrode more quickly. Now, let's get to the good stuff, the rare and highly sought-after 1982D copper penny. These copper versions of the 1982 penny are incredibly rare. It's believed that the U.S. Mint mistakenly allowed some of the copper planchets, intended for other coins, to be used for the 1982D pennies. As a result, a very small number of 1982D pennies were made of pure copper. These rare copper pennies have become one of the holy grails for coin collectors. Some of them have sold for thousands, even millions of dollars. In fact, one specific 1982D copper penny, in pristine condition, was sold for a whopping $7 million. Yes, you heard that right. $7 million for a single penny. So, what makes this penny worth such an astronomical amount of money? Well, it's a combination of rarity, historical significance, and the sheer error involved in its minting. This particular penny, which was graded as a perfect mint state 67 by professional graders, was discovered by a lucky collector and quickly became one of the most valuable coins in the world. Only a few of these copper pennies were ever made, and finding one in mint condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. So, how do you identify if you have one of these rare 1982 copper pennies? Well, there are a few things you should look for. First, check the weight of the coin. The zinc version of the penny weighs about 2.5 grams, while the copper version weighs around 3.1 grams. If you have a penny that weighs more than the standard zinc version, you might have a copper penny. Second, inspect the color. The copper pennies will have that familiar reddish-brown hue, while the zinc pennies will appear lighter and slightly duller. And of course, it's important to get your coin properly authenticated by a professional grader, like those from the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. These graders can help determine whether your penny is worth a lot more than just a cent. So, what's the current market value of the 1982 copper penny? Well, prices vary depending on the condition of the coin. Most of the zinc pennies from 1982 are still worth just 1 cent, while the copper ones, in good condition, can fetch anywhere from $10 to $100. But remember, the real treasures are those rare copper 1982 pennies, and if you happen to find one in mint condition, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Some coins have sold for up to $7 million, but it takes more than just luck to cash in on a coin like that. So, while most pennies in your pocket are likely worth only 1 cent, the 1982 copper penny stands as a reminder that even the most unassuming coins can have incredible value. If you're into coin collecting or simply want to check your spare change, keep an eye out for this rare piece of history. We're diving deep into a coin that's more than just pocket change. The 1993 Lincoln penny. It might seem like a regular 1 cent piece, but believe it or not, there are some 1993 pennies out there worth thousands, even millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that right, millions. So, stick around to learn all about the value, history, rarity, and why some 1993 pennies could make you a small fortune. Let's get started. First, let's talk about the history of the 1993 penny. The Lincoln cent, which has been in circulation since 1909, celebrates Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The coin features a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, that's the head side, and the reverse has the iconic design of a shield, with a banner inscribed E Pluribus Unum. But by the time the 1993 cent was minted, the design had been the same for many decades. The 1993 Lincoln cent was produced by the U.S. Mint during a time when copper prices were on the rise, and this would actually influence the production of pennies. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the coin's value and why this seemingly standard coin can be worth a lot more than its face value, showing a variety of Lincoln pennies from different years with a zoom in on the 1993 penny. First off, let's look at how many 1993 pennies were made. A total of nearly 5.4 billion 1993 pennies were minted. That's a huge number, but as you'll soon learn, some pennies are rarer than others, and rarity is key when it comes to coin collecting. The 1993 penny was made at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, and they have a few key differences that can affect their value. Coins from Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, while coins from Denver feature a D mint mark, located near the bottom of the reverse. But not every 1993 penny you come across will be the same, and some will have special features or defects that make them incredibly valuable. Zoom in on various 1993 pennies, focusing on different types of errors. So you might be wondering, what makes a 1993 penny worth more than just 1 cent? The answer is simple: error coins. Sometimes, during the minting process, pennies can be produced with imperfections or flaws that make them stand out from the rest. These rare coins can command a premium price among collectors. Let's go over some of the most valuable 1993 penny varieties that you should keep an eye out for. Focus on close-up shots of error pennies showing different features. Some of the most famous 1993 penny errors include double die obverse. One of the most famous types of errors is the double die obverse, where the design is stamped twice, creating a blurred or doubled image. This happens when the die strikes the coin multiple times during the minting process. You might notice it on Lincoln's date, his portrait, or even the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Off-center coins. Sometimes the coins are not perfectly aligned during minting, and this can create an off-center design. This kind of error is rare and highly sought after by collectors. Repunched mint marks, RPM. If you find a 1993 penny with a mint mark that seems to have been stamped more than once, you might have a repunched mint mark. These coins can be worth a lot more than face value, depending on how noticeable the error is. Die cracks and cuds. A die crack occurs when the coin dies used to stamp the design on the penny crack, and this creates raised lines on the surface of the coin. Similarly, a cud is an area of the coin where the die has broken off, creating a blob-like effect. These types of coins are rare and in demand among collectors. If you ever find one of these types of errors on a 1993 penny, you could be holding on to a highly valuable coin. Dramatic music plays as the camera zooms in on a 1993 penny, and the host holds a magnifying glass over it. But here's where things get really exciting. While most 1993 pennies are worth just 1 cent, certain error coins can be worth thousands of dollars. And in some rare cases, even millions. That's right, $6 million. One of the most notable sales involving a 1993 penny occurred when a 1993 double die obverse penny sold for a jaw-dropping price of $6 million at a major coin auction. This coin featured an incredibly noticeable doubling of the date and the word Liberty, making it one of the most valuable coins of its kind. It was one of only a handful of coins with this specific error, which made it a collector's dream. This incredible sale shows how a simple mistake during the minting process can lead to a coin being worth millions. Host shows a close-up of a coin magnifier and detailed images of error features on a penny.so. How do you identify a potentially valuable 1993 penny? Here's a checklist to help you out. Look for double die errors. Check the date, the word Liberty, and In God We Trust. If you see any doubling or distortion, it could be a valuable error. Check the mint mark. Look for mint marks from Denver or Philadelphia, and keep an eye out for repunched mint marks or unusual placements. Examine the condition. Coins in excellent condition, especially those with no wear, are more likely to fetch higher prices. Inspect for off-center strikes or die cracks. These are noticeable and can drastically increase the coin's value. If the design looks out of place, you might have something special on your hands. Scene. Host looks at an auction website showing high bids for rare coins. Now that you know what to look for, you might be wondering, how much can you actually sell a valuable 1993 penny for? Well, the market is always changing, but error coins can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to several thousand. And in the case of super rare errors like the $6 million 1993 double die obverse, you could be looking at a windfall unlike anything you've ever imagined. To sell your rare coins, you can approach major coin dealers, attend coin shows, or even list them at online auctions like eBay or heritage auctions. So, there you have it. The 1993 Lincoln penny isn't just a regular coin. It's a potential gold mine for collectors and error enthusiasts. If you come across a 1993 penny, take a closer look, because you might just be holding on to something that's worth a lot more than a single cent. We have an exciting topic for all the coin collectors out there, or anyone who's just curious about the value of some of those old pennies lying around in your pockets or drawers. We're talking about the 2004 Lincoln penny. You might be wondering, why would a coin that's only worth 1 cent be worth anything more? Well, you're about to find out, because there are certain 2004 pennies that have been known to sell for a lot of money. Yes, we're talking millions of dollars. So, buckle up as we dive into the history, value, and some incredible stories about the 2004 Lincoln penny. Fade in the title screen. 2004 Lincoln penny. Worth more than you think. Cut to a close-up of a shiny 2004 penny. Let's start with a little history. The Lincoln penny, first issued in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, has gone through several designs over the years. By 2004, the design was still the familiar portrait of Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. But it was a significant year for the penny because it marked the beginning of a special series to honor Lincoln's life. Show visuals of different Lincoln pennies throughout the years, highlighting 2004's design. In 2004, the U.S. Mint released a series of pennies to commemorate the different stages of Abraham Lincoln's life. This series consisted of 4 different designs, each representing a major chapter in Lincoln's journey: his birth and early childhood, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life as a lawyer, and, finally, his presidency. Visuals transition to the 2004 penny designs. birthplace, formative years, professional life, and presidency. These pennies featured a variety of images, and while they were still produced in the traditional copper-plated zinc, they were special in their tribute to one of America's greatest presidents. So, just like that, the 2004 penny became more than just a coin, it became part of history. Cut to a pile of 2004 pennies scattered across a surface. Now, let's talk about the current market value of the 2004 penny. As you probably already know, the US Mint struck billions of these coins, and most of them are still floating around in circulation today. So, the typical 2004 penny that you'll find in your change is worth, well, exactly 1 cent. Cut to a shot of a regular 2004 penny being placed into a piggy bank. But don't toss them just yet. While most 2004 pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are exceptions. Some 2004 pennies can be worth significantly more, depending on their condition, mint mark, and whether they have any rare or unusual characteristics. A penny with certain errors or minting mistakes can be worth a lot of money to collectors. For example, let's take a look at some of these rare variations. Cut to a close-up of various 2004 pennies, showing details. First, let's talk about the 2004 double die obverse penny. This coin is one of the most sought-after error pennies from that year. It's known for having a noticeable doubling of the letters in the word Liberty and the date 2004. This error occurred because of a misalignment in the die, and it can make a standard penny look much more valuable. Visuals of the double die penny with clear close-ups of the error. If you happen to come across a 2004 D penny with this error, and it's in mint state condition, like uncirculated or very close to it, it could sell for anywhere between $20 to $200 depending on the exact grade. That's quite a jump from the 1 cent it started with. Cut to a shot of a graded coin in a protective slab. Next up, we have the 2004 S-proof penny. These are special coins made only for collectors and were minted at the San Francisco Mint. While they're not rare in terms of overall mintage, their value is higher due to their proof status and shiny, mirror-like finish. A 2004 S-proof penny can easily be worth $2 to $5. But if it's in perfect condition, it could sell for even more. Cut to close-ups of the 2004 S-proof coin in its packaging. But we're not done yet. There's something even more exciting in the world of rare 2004 pennies. Cut to a dramatic pause with suspenseful music. Now, this is where it gets crazy. You might think there's no way a simple penny could ever be worth that much. But in the world of rare coins, anything is possible. Imagine this: back in 2004, a rare mistake happened during the minting process that left an imprint of the wrong coin's die on a 2004 penny. This is something that most people wouldn't even notice at first glance. But it was discovered, and when it was properly authenticated, it was sold at auction for a staggering $5 million. Show the image of a rare, high-value coin. Yes, you heard that right. $5 million. This is called a double-struck error. These mistakes happen when a coin is struck more than once, and if the second strike doesn't align correctly, the result can be a double imprint on the coin. Only a few rare coins like this exist, and the collectors who own them will tell you that their worth is simply priceless. This specific penny, though, was one of the most valuable coins in the world. Cut to a shot of a magnifying glass over a penny. Okay, so how can you spot a 2004 penny that might be worth more than a penny? Well, there are a few things you can look for. Start by inspecting the condition of your pennies. The higher the grade, the more valuable it can become. You'll want to focus on error coins, such as those with misprints, doubled lettering, or off-center strikes. These are the ones that can fetch more money. Show close-ups of a magnifying glass highlighting different errors on a penny. Next, check for rare mint marks. Most 2004 pennies have a D mint mark from Denver, but a few rare coins will feature the S mint mark from San Francisco, which are often more valuable, especially in proof condition. Cut back to you holding a small box of pennies. So to wrap it up, the 2004 Lincoln penny is far from just a simple coin. While most of them are worth only a cent, there are rare variations, errors, and special mintage issues that can make them incredibly valuable. And as we've seen, there are even some 2004 pennies that can be worth millions of dollars. We have an exciting and informative topic that might just change the way you look at your pocket change. We're diving deep into the world of the 2020 Lincoln penny, one of the most talked about coins in the numismatic world today. You might be thinking, it's just a penny, but trust me, this tiny coin could actually be worth a lot more than you think. We're talking about rare variations, historical significance, and even coins that have sold for millions of dollars. If you've ever wondered what makes these pennies so special and how they could impact your collection, or even make you rich, then stick around. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more coin-related insights. Now, let's dive in. Before we get into the 2020 pennies, let's first take a quick stroll through history to understand the Lincoln penny's significance. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was designed by the famous sculptor Victor David Brenner, and Lincoln was featured on the obverse, becoming the first U.S. coin to feature a president. A close-up of the original 1909 penny and a modern 1-cent coin. From 1909 onwards, the penny has gone through numerous design changes, but the image of Lincoln has remained a constant symbol of the coin. Over the years, the reverse side has been altered several times, from wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial and finally, to the current design featuring the shield. Images of the different reverses of the Lincoln penny over the years. Now, with over a century of history, the Lincoln penny is not just a symbol of American currency, it's also become a valuable collector's item. Whether it's rare dates, mint marks, or unique errors, certain pennies can fetch substantial amounts of money at auctions. But what about the 2020 penny? Let's talk about that. In 2020, the United States Mint issued a regular issue 1-cent coin, but with a twist. Although it looks similar to previous years, the 2020 penny has been catching the attention of collectors for several reasons. For starters, the COVID-19 pandemic had a significant impact on coin production, and that alone has contributed to a scarcity of certain 2020 coins. But that's just the beginning. Close-up shots of the 2020 Lincoln cent first. Let's break it down. The 2020 penny is part of the ongoing series featuring the Lincoln Memorial reverse. It's part of the design that started back in 1959 and continued on until 2020, when the coin was officially replaced with the shield design in 2021. But what makes the 2020 penny so noteworthy to collectors? Transition to zooming in on various 2020 pennies. Well, there are a few key reasons. First, the scarcity of the 2020 pennies. Because of the pandemic, many mints were closed or operating at reduced capacity. This meant fewer coins were being produced in general, which can make certain years rarer and, therefore, more valuable. Second, there were some interesting production anomalies, errors that were made at the mint, which are what really get collectors excited. Okay, so what's making these 2020 pennies worth a lot of money? Well, error coins and variations are what most collectors are after. These are coins that were struck incorrectly at the mint, making them rarer and much more valuable than regular pennies. Images of common errors on pennies like double strikes, off-center strikes, and die cracks. Some of the error types we're looking at include double die errors. These occur when a coin is struck by a die that has been misaligned, making it look like the design has been double dot off-center strikes. When the die doesn't properly align with the coin, part of the design may be cut off or misaligned, making it a desirable error. Die cracks and cuds. These are small cracks that form on the die, which can imprint a unique pattern on the coin. These are just a few examples of why certain 2020 pennies are fetching huge prices at auctions. But there's one more thing you need to know, and that's the $3 million coin. Let's get into the big money talk. Coins that are worth millions. Believe it or not, there have been reports of 2020 pennies, especially error coins, selling for astounding amounts. One such coin, a rare error with multiple strikes, was sold for around $3 million at a private auction. It was a penny with such a unique error that collectors couldn't resist bidding in the hopes of owning a piece of history. This doesn't happen often, but it does show just how valuable a single coin can become. Display of a hypothetical rare 2020 penny with exaggerated error features like double dies and off-center strikes. Now, keep in mind, not all 2020 pennies will be worth millions, but even common pennies in mint condition can fetch more than their face value, depending on their rarity and condition. So, how can you spot a valuable 2020 Lincoln penny? Well, it starts with closely inspecting the coins you have. Here are some tips to help you figure out if your 2020 penny could be worth more than just 1 cent. Look for the mint mark. If your penny was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, it will have no mint mark. Denver minted pennies will have a D mint mark. If it's from the West Point Mint, which sometimes produces special edition coins, it could have a W mint mark. Examine the condition. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are worth more. If your penny is shiny and hasn't been through heavy circulation, it could be worth more than a typical penny. Check for errors. As we mentioned earlier, any of the errors we talked about earlier, double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks, could turn a regular penny into a high-value collectible. Get it appraised. If you think you have a rare penny, you may want to get it appraised by a professional numismatist. Sometimes, coins that look valuable are more common than you think. Right now, the value of a 2020 penny depends on several factors. In general, a regular 2020 penny is worth only 1 cent, but if it's an error coin or in mint condition, it could be worth anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds or even thousands, depending on the rarity of the error. A visual chart showing how different 2020 pennies are valued based on errors and condition. Some rare 2020 pennies have sold for as much as $50 to $500. And like we mentioned earlier, a particularly rare error could even see an auction price in the millions. So, before you throw your pennies in the jar or spend them, it's definitely worth checking if you have any rare coins in your collection. Now that you know how to identify valuable pennies, you might be wondering, how do I sell my rare 2020 penny? There are a few different routes you can take. Online auctions. Websites like eBay are a great place to list your rare pennies for sale to the global market, coin dealers. If you want a quicker sale, you can take your pennies to a coin dealer or auction house. Coin shows. Coin shows are a great way to connect with other collectors and get your coins appraised or sold. Alright, that wraps up our deep dive into the 2020 Lincoln penny and its potential value. Who knew that something as small as a penny could have such a rich history and possibly be worth millions of dollars? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment below with your thoughts, and let us know if you found any rare coins in your own collection. Don't forget to subscribe for more coin-related content. Until next time, happy hunting, and who knows, your next penny might just make you a millionaire.